Hello class, my name is Brianna Benavides and I will be doing my presentation on first generation college student. So for the assignment goals for this presentation, I will be covering the indirect consequences of racism in a contemporary society. The value and meaning of this presentation is my realization that my own struggle of being a first generation student is not one of my own. Along with topics from my ethnic studies class, I'll include the achievement gap, educational inequality, systemic and structural racism. So for this presentation, along with my own experiences, I use scholarly journals, research websites, and the text from our ethnic studies course. So, educational inequality. I felt like it was important to look at the history of it, but more recent. So prior to the 1954's Brown versus Board of Education, the law of the land was separate but equal. This is important to analyze today's generation, our children of those marginalized individuals who were affected. So prior to 1954's rule, there was segregated schools. So white and blacks were separate. Native Americans went oftentimes to simulation classes or schools, and Mexican Americans were encouraged to have a separate school as well. And when I think about this, my mother was born in 1962, so this isn't so far off from how it affected her and her growing up. After the Steinberg decision of integrating schools, inequality can be seen in expenditures on white versus non-white students, resources going to higher populated white schools. This inequality today is a result of the achievement gap, defined by Bolsa and Golosh as the disparate educational outcomes of white, black, Latino, and Native Americans. So what and who is first generation college student? First generation college students are educational pioneers. I just love when I heard that. They're the first or one of the first ones in their family to pursue post-secondary education. Some scholars depict them simply as students whose parents did not go to college. According to Pew Research studies, 70% of undergraduates had at least one parent with a degree. Compare that to 26% who attended college with a parent without a college degree. In the book Race and Racism by Bolsa and Golosh states that in 2012, 56% of Latinos were attending a four-year college compared to 72% of white students. So why is first generation college students a thing? Socioeconomic inequality is a large contributing factor to college attendance. The fact that African American and Latinos, on average, are less wealthy than white students. In a 2019 survey of consumer finances, the typical white family has 8 times the wealth of a typical black family and 5 times the wealth of a typical Hispanic family. The wealth disparity is not a coincidence. It is a system of its own design. It was created by the dominant group with systemic and structural racism. Sociologist Joe Fegan defines systemic racism as a diverse assortment of racist practice, the unjustly gained economic and political power of whites, the continuing resource inequalities, and white racist ideology, attitudes, and institutions created to preserve white advantage and power. Looking at history of the U.S., we can see that in slavery, segregation, immigration laws, and mass incarceration, plus along with many more, educational inequality. But this and today's cost of tuition lessens the likelihood of you not only attending college, it affects the fact of completing a degree. So I found this illustration actually while I was scrolling, and I just felt like that just pertained so much to what I was talking about. Here you see, rich kids, they're sleeping and they're being pulled by 5 generations of inheritance, and they wake up and say, look how far I climbed. A lot of first generation don't have that 5 generations of inheritance to get them to that point. So traditional versus first generation, these are the two counters. Another way we can see educational inequality when looking at the achievement gap and traditional versus first generation college students when in high school. There are 3 key differences. Basic knowledge of the college experience, so which college prep courses, personal commitment, basically, other first-time college students in their pre-college careers, they often had jobs. They were often taking care of loved ones and family support. So traditional students that have had that parent go to a college, they have that parent's knowledge and that parent's support to get them through it, compared to the ones that don't. Those with college-educated parents have better access to human and cultural capital through family relationships, consequently compared to their peers with highly educated parents. First-generation students are more likely to be handicapped in accessing and understanding information and attitudes relevant to making the beneficial decisions about such as the importance of completing a college degree, which college to attend, and what kind of academics and social choices to make while in attendance. Many pre-college programs are designed for the traditional college students when the first college student is more diverse in its needs. So these programs in your high schools are geared more towards traditional rather than, someone that has no knowledge or experience or support. Adaptation to college, fear of asking for help, and family constraints can be tied to lower attrition rates of first-generation college students. So that's basically saying that even if you make it to college, the matter of you staying there and graduating is much lower. So why is this important to me? I'm a first-generation college student. I've been attending MiraCosta for on and off 6 years. I've dealt with a lot of self-anguish, those doubts and those thoughts of maybe college isn't for me. And so many times I wanted to quit, and I would often look at my counterparts that I graduated high school with that went on and did what it seems like I couldn't do in 6 years and 4 years. During my time in ethnic studies, we have learned the correlation of this nation's treatment of minorities to the racial inequalities we see today in my very own personal experience of educational inequalities. This knowledge is what is pushing me through completing my undergrad degree. So my future generation can be a second-generation college student. So here we have my admissions letter to Cal State San Marcos, which I'll be starting in the fall. And I did a tour of the campus, and this is the Cesar Chavez that they have displayed. And underneath it says, "Si se puede," it can be done. And honestly, that's my phone screen saver. It's honestly what's pushing me through this. And for my presentation, along with the PowerPoint, I decided to do a poem kind of highlighting my feelings regarding my experience as a first-time college student and a little background. I can remember it being my 3rd or 4th year, and I just still didn't know what to do. I was changing my majors, and I just felt like there was no end. And it wasn't until I decided to major and I still knew I had a lot to go, and I compared it in my head back then to being in a tunnel. So this is what this poem is called, The Tunnel. Dark, cold, lost, hopeless. This is the tunnel. Foreign route, unknown. The tunnel has been inhabited before and seeked out by many. This tunnel and its path has been paved with those who have gone before. This tunnel was created and mapped out for some. The coordinates and the hazard are also known to some. Been here for years, still no light. Lost is a way to describe my time. Discouraged is how I feel. The hopelessness of being stuck in this tunnel, here feeling like the navigation should have been passed down by minds. The struggle to survive has sidetracked me from reaching the light. No one told me this path would be lonely and exhausting. No one told me the path would require you to find your own path. To reach the light at the end feels so long away. I've been here for years. Progress followed by regress. Questions of why I'm taking this path overwhelms me, until one day, many moons later, I have finally found my path. The skills, knowledge, and passion I have fought and gained fomenting me. Tears follow, questions arise, doubt presents itself again. The fear of failure, of making it to the light follows. I have pushed myself and accomplished before this tunnel. Why can I use that to believe that I can make it through? Finally, the ragged terrain is letting up. The skills and knowledge that I had learned and endured is motivating me. Can I make it? Is this for me? Do I have what it takes to continue? At last, incredulousness is overwhelming me. The light that I have been fighting for is before me. The feeling is disbelief. Self-sabotage is imminent. You are way too close to give up now, is what I tell myself. The remembrance of me completing this unknown journey to educate and motivate those who are veering down the same path. The ability to save those from my own experience through this tunnel keeps me going. The ability to share my knowledge and my ability to make it motivates me. Feelings of pride and determination surround me. I hear the cries and cheers. These praises are in my head as I reach the light to the tunnel. The noise dissipates as I step out of the tunnel and make my way to yet another foreign tunnel.